such as Yale, Stanford, and Georgetown. We believe everyone charged here today had a role in fostering a culture of corruption and greed that created an uneven playing field for students trying to get into these schools the right way through hard work, good grades, and community service. Unfortunately, what many students didn't know was that the odds had already been stacked against them by corrupt practices, including but not limited to bribery, falsification of athletic profiles, and near perfect SAT and ACT scores that were fraudulently obtained on behalf of other students, when in reality they were far from perfect. Make no mistake, this is not a case where parents were acting in the best interests of their children. This is a case where they flaunted their wealth, sparing no expense, to cheat the system so they could set their children up for success with the best education money could buy, literally. Some spent anywhere from $200,000 to $6.5 million for guaranteed admission. Their actions were, without a doubt, insidious, selfish, and shameful. And the real victims in this case are the hardworking students who did everything they could to set themselves up for success in the college admissions process, but ended up being shut out because far less qualified students and their families simply bought their way in. What's also cause for concern is how this was even allowed to happen in the first place. Evidence we've obtained shows that trusted coaches and administrators manipulated the systems their universities had in place to accommodate students with fake athletic credentials, some of whom did not even play the sports they were recruited to play. It's a sham that strikes at the core of the college admissions process at university to enrich himself, while also facilitating cheating on SAT and ACT exams, recruiting applicants onto competitive athletic teams in exchange for bribes, and concealing the nature and source of those bribes. There's no telling what their school of thought was, while tests should be a warning to others. You can't pay to play, you can't lie and cheat to get ahead, because you will get caught. This was a complex and demanding investigation, and it was charged accordingly. The use of the RICO statute signals the magnitude of the criminal enterprise. However, our work is not done. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to find and stop those who aren't playing by the rules, because as you can see in this case, the impact on everyday people is real, has consequences, and broad-ranging effect. My sincerest appreciation for the tremendous work done by the United States Attorney and his team, as well as my thanks to Special Agent in Charge Christina O'Connell and her folks at the IRS Criminal Investigation for their continued partnership and support. This was truly a team effort. Thank you.
IRS. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling and FBI Special Agent in Charge Joseph Bonavolenta for the opportunity to address you here today. Again, my name is Christina O'Connell. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the IRS Criminal Division of the Boston Field Office. This morning, special agents from IRS Criminal Investigation, alongside the FBI, arrested dozens of individuals for their role in a nationwide scheme to exchange bribes for college admissions. At the center of this sweeping financial crime is William Rick Singer. Singer and the others arrested today conspired to not only make and receive bribes, but to also funnel those bribe payments through a bogus charity founded by Singer. Utilizing this charitable business facade, Singer was able to conceal the true source and nature of the bribe payments. Then, to further the false legitimacy, Singer advised parents making the bribes that they could deduct the illicit payments as charitable donations on their own individual income tax returns. Overall, IRS Criminal Investigation and the FBI traced over $25 million in bribes laundered through this alleged charity founded by Singer. Overall, our investigators also revealed that the true objective of those involved was not charity at all, but greed. IRS Criminal Investigation will continue to collaborate with our law enforcement partners in the United States Attorney's Office on these complex financial investigations to ensure that the honest American taxpayers receive the message that IRS criminal investigation will never let financial corruption and greed trump hard work and honest effort. Thank you.
Questions?
How did Boston become the lead office to prosecute this case?
Well, it appears to be a conspiracy nationwide in scope. There are several connections to the Boston area. So fake test scores, for example, were submitted to Boston College, Boston University, and Northeastern. Two of the defendants live in the state. A lot of the conspiratorial activity, phone calls, meetings, did happen here. And we, frankly, had the resources and the sophistication to take down a case of this magnitude.
Do you have any idea how many students were able to make it into these schools over the years?
We don't know the total number. As Special Agent in Charge Bonavolenta mentioned, this is still ongoing. So the 33 parents who we have charged, their children were able to get in somewhere. There are more than that, but I'm not prepared to give you a total.
Is there anything that's going to happen to those students? Yeah.
More than that, but I'm not prepared to give you a total.
Is there anything that's going to happen to those students? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Is there anything that's going to happen to those students who got in fraudulently?
Well, there are two aspects to that question, right? There is, what is the reaction of the schools they go to? We leave that to the schools. That's not my bailiwick. As to charges against them, we're still considering that. It's not an accident that there are no students charged in these charging documents. The parents, the other defendants, are clearly the prime movers of this fraud. It remains to be seen whether we charge any of the students.
What degree were students? What degree did the students graduate? Do you know any percentage of how many students that actually got in fraudulently went on to graduate, get degrees?
I don't know the answer to that question.
How active were the students?
Parents very popular.
I'm sorry?
Obviously, there's two parents particularly popular, Clifton and Lori Lawson. It sounds like they took two different routes. Can you go into a little bit more detail what each of those parents are doing?
Well, they're essentially, I'll speak more broadly. There were essentially two kinds of fraud that Singer was selling. One was to cheat on the SAT or ACT, and the other was to use his connections with Division I coaches and use bribes to get these parents' kids into school with fake athletic credentials. Some parents took advantage of one. I think Ms. Huffman, for example, took advantage of one of these, which was the SAT cheating scam. Some took advantage of the other, and some took advantage of both. There's no pattern that way.
Any understanding as to why she didn't do it for a second child, according to the paperwork?
I can't comment on that.
Can you explain a little bit more about how you guys uncovered this case?
I think what I can say is that our first lead in this case came during interviews with a target of an entirely separate investigation who gave us a tip that this activity might be going on.
Beyond money, how did Rick Singer get his influence? How did he build up all these connections?
Well, I think he began in this college counseling business years and years ago and built up his connections over time. I think beyond that, I can't really comment. As you can tell from the charging documents, the recruitment part of the scam depended on the personal relationships he had established with Division I coaches at a variety of elite schools.
It says in here that the students are minimally involved in the exam cheating, but for a lot of these things, in terms of like getting your definition of learning disabled, how involved were the students? How much do they know what was going on?
That varied tremendously. And so, for example, when you look at the complaint affidavit, which I realize is quite long, you will see instances where it's important to parents that their child not know that this had occurred. And in that